And I said Aaron Judge was going to homer last night, and I was sad that he dropped that fly ball because he had a great season. And I don't want him remembered for that. I mean, and he won't be remembered. It's not one of those Bill Buckner, oh, that's all you remember because of the magnitude of that error. They were leading. They were going to win the World Series. They were going to get rid of, this drought that the Red Sox had. Bill Buckner had 2,800 hits. If he didn't have, bad ankles and knees, he would have had 3,000 hits. He would have been a Hall of Famer. But Billy Buck is known just for that one play. You had Judge out there, and for some reason, he's thinking about doubling up the runner. Small things. Fundamental things. Here's Aaron Judge.
I think falling short in the World Series will stick with me until I die, probably. I think just like every other loss, those things don't go away. They're battle scars along the way, and hopefully when my career is over, we got a lot of battle scars, but also a lot of victories along the way too.
Yeah, I get it. It's going to eat him up for a little while. And does it stay with him? Well, it'll stay with him. The question is, does it stay with us? Do we go, oh, Aaron Judge, he dropped the ball in the World Series. All right. He didn't have a great World Series, but he did homer last night. It was just that play, something really, really small. Hey, keep your eye on the ball. How many times are we told that growing up? I have said this before. I don't want this to be a standalone moment for Aaron Judge. I hope it's not. Yes, he did drop the ball. He didn't play well. He hasn't batted well in the postseason. It's almost like the hitting equivalent of Clayton Kershaw, where you want them to have these big moments. You get to these big moments, and Aaron Judge didn't perform. Hit the home run last night, but dropped the ball, literally. And I think Shohei Ohtani got a hall pass because of he built up some credibility, a lot of credibility with his regular season. He wasn't 100% healthy. I mean, you could see that. He was laboring, even trying to run, but I do give him credit for being out there, at least giving that probably reminder to the pitching staff for the Yankees, don't make a mistake, I can still hit a home run. But the rest of the lineup, certainly Freddie Freeman, they came through. Dave Roberts did a wonderful job in managing, and they win the World Series. From a first baseman's perspective, put me in Anthony Rizzo's shoes last night with the dribbler up the first base line.
So in that situation, there's two windows. And the first is ball off the bat, and you're reading the way the ball's spinning towards you, the speed of it. The most important thing to do as an infielder, not just a first baseman, is obviously catch the ball. There's always a backup plan. No matter how deep you are in the infield, whether you play third, first, it doesn't matter. Someone has to be there to receive the ball. So if you can't take it yourself, the first baseman has to be there. If you can't take it yourself, the pitcher has to be there to receive the ball from you. While he was reading the ball, because it was a ball off the end of the bat, he needed more time to prevent a possible, odd bounce. It was almost like a cue ball shot sort of thing. If it had been one of those odd bounces, all of a sudden it clinks off his glove. He's embarrassed. It's an obvious error, a non-out. But if it clinks off your glove or you catch the ball, either of those should have resulted in the opportunity to flip the ball to first base to the pitcher. In that situation, my guess is Garrett read Anthony as initially attacking the ball, and because he couldn't make that decision, he had to stay back on it. Garrett paused, Rizzo stayed back, and there was nobody at first base. Mookie ran as hard as he could out of the box, that's what he does. He plays the game perfectly, and nobody was there, and you get the first run of the game.
Yeah, it kind of had to be a perfect storm there that in what you bring up, the spin on the ball, I think, is going to get lost with a lot of people, that they don't realize that Rizzo couldn't attack. He couldn't come up on it. But Cole was thinking he's going to be able to do that. Therefore, he's sort of walking towards the dugout. And then you got to factor in that Mookie Betts is running as hard as he can and put even more pressure on Rizzo.
But that was the story of the series. In the very first game of the series, Gleyber Torres uh, casually went after a ball after Shohei Ohtani hit a double off the wall, and it bounced off his glove, ended up rolling into mound area. Shohei aggressively took third base in what was then a 2-1 game. Mookie Betts sacrifice flies, makes it a 2-2 game, and they get through the next inning, and it ends up going to extra innings. Who's to say that that couldn't have been game one for the Yankees and Freddie Freeman doesn't get the opportunity to hit a grand slam? Then in this most recent game, several errors in that very same inning, an uncharacteristic error from Aaron Judge, and then a Anthony Volpe, what was a decision that probably I would imagine he probably would have liked to have gone to second base on, because in that situation, when you go to third base, there's a crossover. You have to make a perfect throw. And when I say there's a crossover, the base runner's heading in one direction, and the third baseman, who's typically not receiving balls in a forced situation, has to catch the ball basically with a runner sliding into him, with a runner crossing his path. And without a perfect throw, you're oftentimes not going to get a force play in that situation, especially if you have a really good runner. And he didn't make a perfect throw and ended up exacerbating, and then the Garrett Cole non-cover in I guess a miscommunication, a misread. And then there's your first run, and then go from there.
But we talk about all the millions and millions and millions of dollars that these rosters are,
And millions of dollars.
it comes down to little things. Little things. Fundamentals. Little things, doing things the right way.
It's I don't want to be get off my lawn get off my lawn guy, but the culture I was brought up in, I'll tell you a story from the minor leagues. So our farm director, Tim Naring, when I was 18 years old, we used to run this drill, and it was during instructional league, spring training, even during the regular season, where it would be a 27-out drill. And you would have to get 27 consecutive outs, collectively, with your infield, outfield, with your catcher, with your pitcher. And they would hit balls all over the outfield, all over through the infield, ground balls, double plays, tag ups, and you had to do a 27 outs in a row. And if you made an error or a misplay or a miscover in the 18th out or the 23rd out, he'd scream, "Back to zero!" And then we would start back up from the very beginning. But it was the culture of perfection. It was the culture of, we are going to execute in game. If you made an error in the game, and if it was a real blunder, you were getting either talked to or potentially, I remember occasions where you weren't playing the next day, or there was a real fallout from it. Now, I'm not saying these teams aren't doing that, but I love a game that's clean. There's something about it that's appealing when you get to watch a clean game, no errors, fundamentally sound. And these are two highly professional teams. It was shocking to see some of these errors. Anthony Rizzo is one of the best defenders I've ever seen. Cole doesn't make these mistakes. It was just an odd situation.